Hey guys, just gonna film a quick video here, so sorry for any background noise or interference, but I really want to share with you a project I'm working on, which is a project car taking a 1999 Porsche Boxster, the base model, six cylinder, and swapping that motor out for a 1.8 liter turbo out of a Volkswagen Passat. It should be a really fun project because we're going to be building up the bottom end of it to give it some forged internals, putting a big turbo kit on it, injectors to match, and hopefully getting it tuned to try to approach around 300 to 325 horsepower. I think it'll be a really fun car to drive, being in such a light body as the Porsche Boxster. So let's go take a look at the car and go from there.
So here's the vehicle right here, 1999 Porsche Boxster. It looks, I think, in my opinion, pretty good for the age of the vehicle. I mean, it's 21 years old at this point. It's old enough to drink. The person who owned it before was actually a older lady that I guess she had a passion for Porsches, and this was another one that was maybe in her collection. When I first contacted the seller about this vehicle, they were on Facebook. It was kind of a young man that looked like he was just out of high school, and when I reached out to him, he said that he was selling it on behalf of his grandma. And I thought that the story was just, one of those ploys, the typical older lady driving it to the store and back kind of story. But sure enough, when we went to pick up the vehicle, grandma was there, and she had a lot of good things to say about the vehicle. And this wasn't her only or first Porsche. She used to have a Targa back in the day, so she took very good care of the vehicle, and it's only got about 86,000 miles as of this video. So she did a pretty good job. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior. All right, so moving inside, yeah, the car's interior looks pretty good for a like I said, 21-year-old vehicle. So everybody that was in this prior to me getting here did a pretty good job of preserving it, so I appreciate that.
All right, so why the Porsche Boxster? Well, first off, I always loved the look of the vehicle, even from when I was in high school and the car started rolling out. I think it has a lot of the classic Porsche look, and I'm not talking about like maybe the popular ones that came out in the 70s and 80s that have kind of the bug-eyed look to it, but some of the ones that were before that, when the Porsche started really getting its feet on the ground. Also, I feel like the vehicle has a lot of styling that makes it look like it fits in with the modern cars of today and here in 2020. So I really love the vehicle, and wanted to use this platform as one to do a project. Another question that I've received is why put a 1.8 liter turbo into a Porsche that comes from a Volkswagen or Audi? And there's many different reasons for it, so I'm going to try to go through a few of them. First off, there's some weight savings. The 1.8 liter turbo weighs about anywhere from 100 to 130 pounds less, I think, than the flat six that's already in there. Next is the cost of the parts to modify and make it go faster. So first off, the 1.8 liter block, or a long block, is really cheap. I mean, you can get them or pick them up for about anywhere from 400 to 800 bucks, and then put in your go fast parts, and then you have a really capable engine. So really, it's the cost of modification is definitely a big plus. If you were to take a larger engine from either a Porsche 911 or some other type of vehicle and put it in there, those motors are going for anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 depending on the number of miles and the condition of it. And then after you have it done, are you going to be as comfortable knocking it around like a sports car should after everything's all said and done? So the cost savings is definitely a big plus. And the next thing that I think is important is whenever you're doing a modification to a motor, or you want to make sure that you have a good community base supporting you, just to have a good knowledge base. So the 1.8 liter turbo has been modified for like 20 years, 20 plus years of modifying this motor to make it go fast. So there's a lot of people that are knowledgeable about modifying the engine. So I think that's a big plus versus maybe some other motors where there's kind of more of a smaller niche of people that know how to modify it and get the most out of the motor. But the most important piece, which I think a lot of people don't realize, is that the base model Porsche, the 5-speed transmission in that one, and I'm not talking about the S, which has the 6-speed. The 5-speed one is the same one that is used in the Passats and I think A4s and everything that were manual driven vehicles, but it was just branded as a Porsche project. So therefore, that means that the mating of the motor, the 1.8 liter turbo to the transmission, is a direct bolt-on. The only modifications that really need to be made are going to be kind of the front engine mount, from what I understand, and some electronic compatibility things to be solved, and maybe making a modification to kind of the engine compartment, but very minor as far as just the cap that goes over the top of it, that's in the back of the Porsche Boxster. So for all those reasons, I thought it was a really good project to work on. It should be a pretty straightforward build and a pretty straightforward motor swap, but we will see, and those are probably some famous last words. But
so while the motor's running, I'm going to go ahead and show you the 1.8 liter turbo that came in. This is a AEB model 1.8 liter turbo. I've already started disassembling the engine. We got the turbo kit right over here, just the turbo, I should say, the turbo manifold, exhaust manifold and turbo. Jeez. All right, and then today I'm going to be working on disassembling a lot more of it, taking out some of the spark plugs, taking out the intake manifolds, and just breaking the car down so it's light enough that I can go ahead and put it onto the engine stand. I don't have a cherry picker with me right now. What I'm going to be using is a motorcycle lift to get the engine in and out of the bottom of the vehicle. So it should be fun. I'll be doing this over the next few days, and you guys can follow along.